All right, guys, it looks like we are live. Welcome back to Roxham TV and also welcome back to Gem Crypto. I hope you guys had an amazing weekend and also wherever you are. But Bitcoin this weekend, I'll say, is a little bit more volatile than I expected because we went down to as low as 108 and right now it's sitting at that magical number, so $112,000. So I hope you guys weren't too affected by that basically dip, and also we pumped that massively well because I'm actually staring at the hourly chart of Bitcoin and I'm seeing massive hourly candles pushing all the way towards 112. So of course we're gonna dive into TA. That's what we always do. I always love to open my show with a little bit of Bitcoin TA, starting from hourly, daily, and then move on to the weekly because that's my style. And of course, we're going to look at some news. There are some interesting news coming out just a few days ago. For example, we have crypto exchanges and they are basically non-stop going public. Why is that and why they want to do IPO? Of course, we're going to look into that and also over some of my perspectives, why basically everyone is following what Coinbase has done back in 2021, so years ago, why Kraken and Gemini are following. And then we're going to move on to some altcoins, specifically WLFI. Why I want to mention this, like I don't do a lot of altcoins analysis, especially with Roxham TV, because there is a huge audience mostly on Bitcoin aspect, Bitcoin narrative. So the reason why I want to look at WLFI is, of course, is backed by the US president himself, is backed by his entire family. So this, I would say, is an exception, like exception altcoin. Why I would zoom into that and really dive deeper to what they're doing. Apparently, they have a token burn, but does it actually push up any of that price action? I'm not so sure about that. And then we're going to dive into some regional market. We're going to look at Australia. So a lot of exciting news going on. So tomorrow tomorrow I won't be doing a show because it's actually the National Day of Hong Kong. But tomorrow I have another exciting content, which is a interview. It's my first interview on Roxham TV, so very excited. But without further ado, because I have done enough intro for this live stream, so let's hop right in and let us start by looking at the Bitcoin chart. So of course, we are on the hourly chart. So what's interesting about this hourly chart is that basically we have been bouncing inside this box. So between 108 to 109. So we stay inside this box for like more than 2 days, like close to 3 days. Like we had a major breakout basically at Sunday, on Sunday night, entering like Monday morning, so Monday midnight. So we are seeing this like huge pump, basically, well, almost 3%, so 2.7% in a matter of 11 hours. So what's going on? And if you look at the RSI, like the RSI spike up to 89. That's a signal that is getting a little bit crazy, is a little bit overheated. So a big bounce on the RSI and also a big bounce on the hourly chart. So again, like weekend is always, I would say, not much volatility. This is not much. Like look at this rectangle, is just between 108 and 109. The reason why weekends tend to be like a slower trading days is because, okay, people like to go out, people like to spend time with their friends and maybe not spend so much on the chart and trading Bitcoin because, yeah, we have other stuff to do other than just Bitcoin. So usually weekends have lower volatility. And this is sort of like I would say building up that momentum. We're seeing like this little squeeze, Bitcoin trade basically trading inside this this top level and also this like support level. But the more we stay inside this basically this area, the more we'll bounce because the momentum is just like squeezing in. Think of it, I would say, like whenever I see pattern like this, I like to think of it like a spring, like that the harder you pull, the harder it bounces. So this is sort of the situation I'm seeing on the hourly. So think of this as a spring, like so much momentum building, and boom, like we have a bounce back up to all the way to 112, so 112. That's really good. However, since the RSI is massively overcooked, so it makes sense and it has to, for a healthy market, the RSI has to come back. But one thing of course, like we are not out of the wood yet because a dump to 108, it was basically, there was so much FUD on Twitter. I look at Twitter every single day and the sentiment is basically, is quite crazy. Every single day is like a roller coaster, but that's the fun of Twitter, right? So I would say, okay, the new, okay, 111K. So let me draw the horizontal line. So 111K, again, this is a level that I've been eyeing and we have talked about that basically for days. The reason why 111 is, again, like the new support and resistance, actually we have to retest this. We haven't technically retested this. The reason why is that Bitcoin likes to go back to its prior low, and that's the case we saw on 24th of September, like once, twice, and also back in 23rd of September. So we actually, there is like so much price action around 111,000. So it's actually essential for Bitcoin to retest this level, and then we go to higher places. That's only on the hourly chart. However, if we I would say, okay, if we once again, okay, that's really confusing. So if we once again lose 111, then 109 is again on the table because there is again so much price action. If we are seeing like big moves like this, we are seeing a big pump and also like a big dump and also a big pump. Like, let me remove everything. So big dump and also big pump. That means basically these regions, so between 109.9 to 111.4, there is not much support. So either we go up very quickly or we go down very quickly. There is just no price data to support this region. That's why 111.4 to be precise, that's the critical level. So that's on the hourly chart. So that's why I think 109 is still on the table. Let's move on to the daily chart and look at things at a higher time frame. All right, so what we are seeing here on the daily chart is that we keep seeing this. Wait, where's my brush? Okay, we keep seeing this like lower high, and also perhaps we are forming a lower low, but maybe not sure, but we're definitely seeing a lower high on the daily chart. Well, I'm not like too concerned with this like lower high, to be honest, because like if you zoom out, okay, if you zoom out and let us remove that 111K, we are essentially like, look at this, we are essentially just consolidating within this like bouncing inside this box. So let me pull out the brush again. So we're just like bouncing this box. So in other words, on the daily, it looks more like a neutral setup to me for Bitcoin's price. And if we don't get up to, okay, we're saying on daily, if we don't get up to 117 and actually like close above that and test that as a level of support. Like the rest of this, like this nice little pump. So between 108 to 117 is a nice 9% pump, right? Like even though if we pump like this and even if we follow the exact same trend, this is just noise. Like I'm afraid to break it to you, even if we manage to get to the top level, like if we get rejected again, then we are just essentially consolidating. This is not like a bearish scenario. It's just basically neutral. We're just like bouncing and consolidating, moving sideways. So we are still in that horizontal zone very much. Again, 117, if we get rejected, the rest of this, like this pump, this rally, forget about it. It's just noise at the end of the day. So that's on the daily. Let's also move on to the weekly chart. So weekly, again, that 117 is perfectly aligned. Let me remove that 108 so it's easier to see what's going on. So I like how the weekly and also the daily of the like 117 as the resistance, like basically perfectly aligned. So the past week that we had, so we are on a Monday, right? So this is the candle that we literally just closed half a day ago. So half a day ago, we I would say this candle alone is looking pretty strong because it's like a nice little pump. So if we take the bottom to the top, it's like a 6% pump. Although we end up with a dip on this week, but like it's good to see that like on the last day before the candle closed, before the weekly candle closed, we managed to close higher than before. So this is very important. It kind of like set a tone for the new week in September. Of course, like we are towards the end, so it's kind of like set the tone for maybe like last few days of September till the first few days of October. But October, I'm generally very bullish because, of course, we know the narratives. Like, okay, what the hell is this? Okay, we know the narratives. We know October is what we call October because, okay, on average, every single October, okay, there's like on average of 21% a nice little rally for every October. That's the average number. Of course, there are exceptions. So there are 2 months out of 12 months. So 2 months only. 2 months only. So 2 months out of 12 months will end up with a negative number. But if I were you, I would not bet against the narrative of October because like so far there are 12 months in a year, but October has always, okay, like most case than not, like the best month out of 12 months, like from January till December, the best return of the year. So yeah, I'm very bullish. I do think that we're gonna end up with a green number in terms of the October return. But like again, since I always open my show with a more like a short-term perspective and then daily and then weekly, so we're going to slowly build up to that case. So that's for the Bitcoin price action. Let's look at the altcoins market because, well, a lot of DJ likes altcoins, but I'm afraid to break it to you. We covered that just before the weekend. So what we're looking at is the total market cap excluding BTC and ETH. So what we're seeing here, altcoins, we are sitting at 1.08 trillion market cap. However, if we look at the RSI, we are forming this like bearish divergence, and so far it doesn't look like we're breaking out anytime soon. So in other words, I do think there is more room for altcoins to correct, especially against Bitcoin. Like this cycle has always been Bitcoin dominated. This cycle is weird because usually when Bitcoin breaks new all-time high, the next month is going to be Ethereum, and then the next month is going to be altcoin to shine. But so far, technically speaking, we are at alt season, but it's just a small selective of altcoins. So if you look at the broader scheme of things, we are, okay, everything, the fact is right in front of you. Money is still flowing into Bitcoin, and also we're basically correcting, and we have been correcting, okay, the last week. Let's see if this week we're gonna correct down a little. The major support level is $900 billion, but there is, of course, still some room. It's like 15%. I think Bitcoin dominance is going to go up, but we'll see. Like, we are more looking at these kind of stuff day by day or week by week, and then we're going to have the information to come up, and then we can adjust our analysis. All right, so since that Bitcoin is like, it has been correcting, so it almost makes sense for the Bitcoin spot ETF having an outflow instead of inflow. So we are, of course, on the BTC term. So the past, okay, on 26th of September, we had an outflow of 3.84K BTC. And also on 25th, we had like a 2.24K BTC outflow. In dollar terms, that means we have, okay, $480 million outflow, whereas on 25th, we have $253 million outflow. This is just like healthy. This is just normal. This is basically what you see in a correction. So nothing too concerning to look at this. Like, okay, there are a few bars, few red bars, but yeah, it's just doing what it does in a correction. I'm not too concerned. Again, I'm very looking forward to October narrative. And yeah, I'm ready. Let's move on to the news section. So that's it for the market analysis. Let's do the news analysis. One thing very interesting that I saw just a few days ago is Kraken going listed. So they are doing an IPO. They're raising $500 million in funding round, valuing crypto exchanges at $15 billion. So this isn't just about one exchange. It's actually part of a bigger wave of companies raising toward IPOs. So let's break it down. Why this matters for this industry, for investors, and for the future of crypto adoption. All right, so here's the context. So Kraken reportedly closed a $500 million funding round, valuing the crypto exchange at $15 billion, with backers including investment managers, VCs, and their co-CEO, Arjun Sethi. So here's the context. So basically the backers so none of them are a single leader when it comes to the investment, which is pretty good, I would say. And the co-CEO, Arjun Sethi, so frame this as the final gear up before going public. So the funds are expected to fuel expansions into TradFi bridges, new products and acquisitions, while also preparing for compliance across major markets. We are targeting the IPO in next year, so 2026. This is why I kind of want to dive deeper into the financials of Kraken. Like, why are they pulling this move? Is it healthy? So here's the detail of Kraken. First of all, they have they recorded $1.5 billion in revenue for 2024. That's good. That's extremely good. And in terms of AUM, asset under management, they have $43 billion. So that's really not bad. In terms of the users they have more than 6 million, with 2.5 billion users actually funded account. So it's not just like create some accounts and then they just put it there. So like a lot of that users, so 1/3 of the users actually use Kraken. So that's another bullish sign. Majority of their revenues comes from derivatives trading, spot trading, and also staking. And I'll say, like, despite setbacks, so SEC like staking settlement in 2023, layoffs in 2024, Kraken has been showing resilience, I would say. Is another a green flag for me, is a signal of investor confidence. And this is also one of the few OG exchanges, is founded back in 2011, and that has maintained security and compliance while expanding globally. So I'm seeing green flags. However, does it mean I'm going to jump in and invest into IPO? Like, no, but I do see huge reasons why exchanges, especially crypto exchanges, are getting into TradFi world and also going public, basically. So for my own analysis, it comes down to 4 reasons. The first one is, of course, capital access. IPOs unlock billions from institutional investors, and it's like critical for scaling custody, global licenses, and DeFi integrations. And then the second reason is being credible, like public markets enforce transparency through SEC filings, distancing exchanges from FTX style, because that's the last thing we want. And then timing wise, this is the perfect timing. This is why we saw Gemini going public just before Kraken. I mean, the news kind of come close, but it's just like a little bit earlier compared to Kraken. So timing wise, we are in a bull market. I don't think we have seen a cycle top yet. We have ETFs, we have the Fed pivots. So there is only room for the Fed to cut rates moving forward. So all of that, like the timing wise, is perfect, and there's so many bullish catalysts. So exchanges see this as a massive opportunity to hop in, like, if not now, when, right? And then the final reason I saw is actually just diversify. It's always a good idea to diversify into like different aspects, and including IPO, like going public. So let us zoom closer to the exchanges that have gone public, and Kraken is going public. The first one we can't ignore is, of course, Coinbase. So Coinbase went public back in 2021. The IPO was at $250. Right now it's sitting at $312 a share. Gemini did the same. So let me zoom closer. It's a little bit small. Okay, Gemini did the same. They IPO'd this year. So it's just like actually just this month, September. They IPO at $28 a share, though it's correcting a little bit. I mean, it's just pretty recent, so I won't be surprised to see correction like this and volatility like this. This is also the reason why I think Kraken will see the same, basically kind of following what Gemini has done, especially so recent. And if you actually zoom out to Coinbase as well, like during the IPO period, it was extremely volatile. Okay, of course it went up. It went to close to $300. It actually opened $381. Good thing that we have passed all-time high. That is back in July, just a few months ago. Oh, live chat, just let me know if any one of you hold Coinbase, because I've actually been talking about Coinbase for years. I've been talking about Coinbase in the entire bear market in 2023. Well, not extremely bear, but yeah, I bought Coinbase when it was cheap. So if those of you, okay, it was around here. So 2023, so like around $100. So let me know if any of my community actually watched my videos about Coinbase. If so, it's your time to gloat. Yeah, enjoy and also take profit. So Coinbase, we saw huge volatility during IPO. So I won't be surprised to see Kraken, because Kraken is preparing for 2026. aiming for the same momentum. I honestly, 2026, I don't know what's going to happen for Kraken. And if you think the 4-year cycle is still intact, then yeah, 2026 might be the beginning of a bigger correction, so-called correction, or bear market, like the beginning of bear market. But we'll see. But like, if we just compare Kraken and Coinbase and Gemini, like, okay, as an investor, how could you prepare for this? Of course, not financial advice. I'm just telling you the facts that I'm seeing. Like, I'm a number girl, basically. I'm just throwing numbers at you, and you guys can draw the conclusion. So, Coinbase, let's go back to Coinbase first. So, Coinbase, it was a direct listing back in 2021. The valuation is, of course, the biggest among these three. It valued at $85 billion peak valuation, while Gemini is a baby, like basically the smallest among the three. So Gemini, for its revenue, it has like 142 million in 2024, while Coinbase, take a look at this. Coinbase revenue in 2024, $6.5 billion. So Coinbase, of course, is a giant. Kraken, on the other hand, they're doing $1.5 billion. I mean, it's not bad, but of course, Coinbase is the biggest one. And with the biggest users, Coinbase, they have over 100 million users. Gemini, 500,000 monthly. That's not bad. Kraken, 6 million users in total. And net profit, of course, Coinbase earned the most money, like a net income of $2.5 billion in 2024. Kraken adjusted EBITDA is 380 million, while Gemini is actually having a net loss in 2024. Not like too concerning though, like a net loss of like $158 million. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. A lot of the okay, here's Gemini. So let me know if you guys got into any of that Gemini IPO. It'll be fun to know. But out of these three, like, of course, Gemini is the riskiest. It's the smallest, with the smallest number of users. But if it grows, and especially they have the stablecoin GUSD, so if the stablecoin adoption grows, then maybe there's a chance for Gemini. Personally, I'm sticking with Coinbase. I'm actually ignoring Gemini and also Kraken. I know Kraken has a really good product. A lot of my friends use Kraken, and I've heard amazing things about it. But I'm boring, and I like to choose the safer option. I mean, Coinbase is in S&P 500. And of course, like, if you are going for the higher risk, like using smaller amounts of money to maybe you get like a higher amount of return, then maybe Kraken. Gemini, yeah, none of my friends use Gemini, and it's actually reflected from the number of users they have. So I'm sticking with Coinbase. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I would personally do, what my risk appetite is like. It has nothing to do with you. Okay, so yeah, the key takeaway I would say is that, okay, the Kraken, the deal. So $500 million raise isn't just one company. It's actually a part of a larger story. Crypto exchanges becoming Wall Street players, with Coinbase leading, Gemini testing the water, and Kraken preparing for its debut. 2025, so this year and next year, could really mark the era where crypto trading desks officially join the financial mainstream. So I do think this is going to be the trend moving forward. All right, so that's for crypto exchanges. Let's zoom closer to some like regional area around the world, let's talk about Australia, because Australia looks to bring crypto under financial services framework with new draft legislation. So this new draft is DAPs, and also TCPs. They will fall under the same bracket as other financial intermediaries. So the proposal would require crypto firms to hold financial service licenses, effectively bringing them under the wing of the country's securities regulators. So let us look at the details of this bill. First of all, what's happening? So the Australian Treasury unveiled the Corporations Amendment, aka like the Digital Asset Platforms Bill 2025. So this is to say, like, integrates crypto platforms into Australian existing financial services framework. There are new rules being introduced. So the DAPs actually focus on exchanges or brokers handling more than 1,500 Australian dollars per client, or more than 5 million Australian bucks. And then for TCPs, is the tokenized custody platforms, is to monitor basically like custody providers for tokenized assets like securities and commodities. And then there are also other rules coming from the Australian land. So they have of course, the Stablecoin Act. It has to be 1-to-1 back. It's just like the standard, right? And then there are penalties if there's some violation. So up to 16.5 million Australian dollars, which is equivalent to 11 million US dollars. And then there is exceptions, like some businesses, the Australian government actually don't apply rules to small businesses. So small scale operators, self-custody wallets, and some non-financial NFTs. They have the consultation window is going to open till 24th of October. So here's the details. And then, of course, there are some requirements, like in order to be eligible to apply for the licenses. So that got me interested and did some more research about how the Australian land works when it comes to crypto. So right now, in order to operate legally in Australia, like platforms need to secure an Australian financial services license, which is from ASIC. So ASIC is not the Bitcoin one. It stands for Australian Securities and Investments Commission, basically the SEC. All right, so to apply this, you need some general requirements. So of course, you need to have adequate capital reserves because that's needed to scale. You need to have competent management, risk management, and AML being in place. And also right now we have the DAPs and also the TCPs. Those are for, like, you have to ensure the client fund is separated, like client fund segregation, regular audits, and also being a member in the AFCA. And then there's like some stable coins. Basically, it's just like standard. I would say Australia is just like following what the rest of the world has been doing. But Australia has been quite friendly to crypto. I'll give it that, because if you look at the chart, how many Bitcoin, how many people own Bitcoin and crypto in Australia? And look at this chart. So it's at all-time high, 31%. So 2025, 31% of Australian own some sort of crypto. Of course, we saw like a correction back in 2022. That is understandable, completely understandable. When we saw stuff like Terra Luna, FTX, that's scary. And especially back in 2022. If you guys are watching this live stream, okay, if you've been around and you still have the courage to hit the buy button back in 2022, You guys are heroes, and you guys deserve a round of applause. Seriously, that is extremely scary time. But let's come back to the land of Australia. We are seeing an uptake. Okay, after 2022, slowly is bouncing back, and right now Australian people, okay, 31% of the population is holding crypto, which is good. Yeah, and the government has so far been quite positive, quite supportive of blockchain innovation, but of course they're getting like cautious and learning from the lesson like FTX. But historically speaking, like Australia has been quite open to crypto, like back in 2014. So all the way back in 2014, 11 years ago, Bitcoin was already being recognized as property for tax because, okay, Australian government can tax some of that Bitcoin profit and some extra income for the government. Why not, right? So they are quite innovative when it comes to that sort of thinking. And then 2017, they have exchanges legalized. So as like AML kicked in 2018. So I would say like so far in like a historically speaking, Australia has been quite friendly to crypto. And right now, they're just getting more comprehensive when it comes to the legislation, when it comes to the framework. But the classification and DeFi treatment, I'll say, is kind of mirroring what a lot of places are doing. So, for example, Hong Kong, we have FASP standard, and in EU, they have the maker standard as well. So basically, it's just following what the rest of the world is doing. Though, like DeFi is being exempt, which I like. Of course, in the beginning of the show, I mentioned WLFI, which is being classified as a DeFi project, and I don't really understand. I can't wrap my head around that. But yeah, it's good to see that Australia government don't see like DeFi like it's being exempt. That's a good thing. Domestic wise, like inside Australia, I think this is definitely gonna boost consumer confidence. Let's see if we manage to push up the adoption. Like we are already at 31%, which is all-time high. Let's see how long before it reach like the next level. I don't know, like 35%. So rules like this actually can help attract like institution players, but of course, like it's like a double-edged sword. It also raises compliance costs and potentially maybe push some startups offshore. But yeah, we'll see. I would say this is more net positive. We do see there's like a turning point for a lot of countries, like US is being a classic example, right? The question is that for Australia, will it boost innovation or like push it some of the startups to offshore? But overall, I would say net positive. I'm liking what I see. All right, so let's move on to the last piece of the news. I have been non-stop teasing about WLFI. The reason why I want to talk about this is, well, there's a token burn apparently at $1.4 million worth of WLFI being burned. Oh my gosh. All right, so how is that reflecting on the price? Unfortunately, you guys can see it is on a downtrend. But let's come back to the news, okay? So, well, Liberty Financial, the Donald Trump or the Trump family, okay, the Trump family backed DeFi project just executed a massive token burn, $1.5 million worth of WLFI being wiped from circulation. So the question is how this would help. Maybe, okay, we are not seeing much effect in the short term. Okay, maybe soon closer, 7 days. Okay, 7 days is not bad. Okay. What about long term? Like, is this enough to push up the WLFI token price? All right, so here's the details about the token burn. So according to on-chain data, the project earned $1 million by collecting 4.9 million WLFI tokens and $1 million in liquidity earnings. So they are essentially using that earning to burn that WLFI tokens. And how they do it, of course, is carry on across different chains. So the transactions carry out across BNB chain and also Ethereum within just 24 hours. And then there's actually more burning line up. There are more burns ahead. There will be like a 3 million WLFI tokens on Solana still pending, still queuing to be burned. So there's like a slight tick up from 19 cents to right now 21 cents. That's on the 7-day. All right, so why is this project like, it's not like a popular kit, it's not like a property project. Of course, a lot of people talk about that, but it kind of like making fun of that project, I would say. So why crypto native people don't like WLFI? Because it's extremely controversial. Like from day one, WLFI has been slammed by crypto native community. There are different reasons. Like first is extremely centralized. Like this project requires KYC. I find it weird for like a DeFi project requires KYC. And then they have blacklisted some wallets, over 270 wallets being blocked. And then there is, of course, backed by the Trump family. This is, again, a double-edged sword. They have the political baggage. And the Trump family actually holds a lot of that token, like 25 billion tokens and 5 billion at launch. So people are calling it a pump and dump. And also there are reports of WLFI, like some of the reaching wallets linked to North Korea and Iran. Though like that part, I'm just taking with a pinch of salt. Price-wise, like, okay, 7 days is not bad. But if you zoom out, like it looks like a pump and dump. Like it doesn't look like a very profitable project. But again, of course, there are some YouTubers who, or influencers per se, they are extremely, but like for this project, they are a big fan of WLFI. I'm not gonna drop any names because that's just not who I am. But if you guys are interested to find out, like just go on Twitter and type WLFI. You can see who's shilling it and who's not. So not everyone is bearish. Some influencers, they see a massive potential in WLFI. I'm not saying they're wrong. I see their argument. So they are saying that it's the narrative play, it's the narrative power, because Trump entire family is backing this. So Trump can't afford this to go wrong. And then there's the deflationary aspect, like there's a constant buyback, token burns, and the ecosystem like WLFI directly linked to USD1, which is a stable coin. And they see USD1 being one of the biggest stable coins, and it's going to be around and the liquidity going to grow. So that's the narratives. I would say, okay, I do see the point, but I mean, I'm not touching this. It's just like a lot of that is going against my fundamental. Like, okay, they have some controversy. For example, they blocked Justin Sun wallet. I'm not a big fan of Justin Sun, but what a DeFi project would do is just like, I would say it's eye-opening. So they would just like freeze hundreds of millions, like $100 million worth of WLFI from Justin Sun wallet. So yeah, so Justin Sun, well, actually Justin Sun had 595 million WLFI. but frozen after moving $9 million worth of WLFI to his 4B exchange, so HTX. Yeah, I mean, Justin's on over to buy 20 million worth of WLFI to support price, but was still partially blocked. Stuff like that, I'm not a big fan of. And actually, if you dive into tokenomics, okay, 25% being unlocked, but okay, 22.5% of the entire pie allocated to the Trump family. So yeah, there is deflationary aspect. So 100% of that trading fees would go back to buyback and burn. So yeah, that's good for the token's price. But again, I guess it's a governance token. Is it enough to justify all the price? Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm not really touching this. Yeah, I just don't really like the thesis. And did it work when it comes to the buyback? Maybe short-term wise. Long-term, we're not sure yet because WLFI is still down like close to 60% from all-time high. So whether it's sustainable, I don't know. Near term, like okay, if you ask me near term, I won't be surprised to see it bounce back to maybe 25 cents if buybacks continue and the Trump narrative is going strong and yeah, even strengthening the crypto or DeFi, especially heading into elections. So maybe that helps, but long-term wise, I think it's too risky. Like if you honestly ask me, like I think it's not worth picking up pennies in front of a train. Okay, if it goes back to, I don't know, 25 cents, then yeah, wait, let me see. That's how much in terms of the return. So 25 divided. So that's like, again, 19% pump. Like if you ask me, would I pick 19% return if I can just do some other coins? Maybe, okay, Bitcoin. How about that? Like Bitcoin is supposed to be the safest, supposed to be boring, but I think it's much easier to earn money from Bitcoin than WLFI. That's my honest opinion, I would say. And then they have like major competitors. Like what about Aave? What about Compound? Those actually, so those platforms actually have a working product. While WLFI, everything is still pending. You can't use the platform yet. So I don't know, like, yeah, if those people are diligent enough to get into this thing, so be it. But I'm not getting it. I'm staying away from it. All right, so that's the altcoins. That's pretty much all I want to cover in today's content. But like, okay, just before I let you go, make sure the final part, so final call to action, make sure to give me a follow on my Twitter account because I have many updates that, okay, whenever I want to give updates to my community, the best and fastest way for me to do it is, of course, on Twitter. So I can just like type up a few single words, few single sentences, and then let my community know. By the way, so these scammer, so this used to be my original account, but the hacker took my account, they changed my password and also changed my recovery email. So I no longer have access to this account. So what's going on now is that the hacker has been stealing my pictures and stealing my content. So, okay, for example, I have this video I shot myself. I posted it on 25th, and then just like 1 or 2 days after, they basically copy my entire post, use my pictures, and also use my videos to keep pretending to be me. So please like unfollow this account or report this account if you can. This is not the real Jemmy Wong. The real Jemmy Wong is here. So Jemmy, so Gem Crypto _IO. So just be careful because I know the scammer has been going around and texting my followers. Just be very careful. All right, so do follow me on Twitter. And also, if you don't know, I have my own YouTube channel as well. And make sure to follow Roxham TV. So we are going live 24/7 from different parts of the world, from San Francisco, from London, and also from Hong Kong. So here's the live that I'm hosting right now. So anyways, that's pretty much all I want to say. Remember, so tomorrow I don't have live stream, but I have an amazing interview prepared for you guys. So please do show support. Please leave me a comments. I'm reading the live chats right now. So Alex Poke, hacker like to steal beautiful women pictures. Yeah, thanks for saying that. And oh, Fernando, welcome back. And Bam Bam Crypto, of course, gonna big one, good stream jam. Thank you so much for your support, and make sure to tune in for tomorrow's interviews as well. So thank you, and I'll see you guys very soon.